Ah, the 1980s. What a decade, right? We had big hair, even bigger shoulder pads, and movies that were, well, movies. We're talking blockbusters that reshaped pop culture like E.T. and Ghostbusters. Classic stuff. But for every Back to the Future, there were, well, let's just say some cinematic experiments that went sideways. Way sideways. These weren't just films that didn't quite make it. These were movies that came out swinging, full of ambition, and then, thud. Box office bombs, misunderstood masterpieces, or just plain ahead of their time. They flopped, but trust me, they weren't all bad. In fact, some of them are better than half the classics people still ramble on about. So let's rewind that VHS tape, shall we? We're diving into 15 of the most underrated 80s flops, including one so chaotic it nearly bankrupted an entire studio. And if you're a fan of forgotten films, behind-the-scenes drama, and cinematic second chances, hit that like button and subscribe, because the past is always packed with stories you never knew you needed.
Kicking us off at number 15, we have Howard the Duck from 1986. Now picture this. George Lucas, fresh off conquering the galaxy with Star Wars, decides his next move is a talking duck from outer space. I'm not making this up. Howard the Duck wasn't just a misfire, it was a $37 million head-scratcher that left everyone going, huh? Based on an underground Marvel comic, it follows an anthropomorphic duck accidentally transported to Earth, where he battles alien invaders and, get this, romances Leah Thompson. The production? Cursed from day one. That duck costume was a nightmare, hot, restrictive, and impossible to act in. 6 different performers rotated playing Howard, and none could make the character, well, likable. Lucas, riding that Star Wars high, apparently ignored all studio input. Critics savaged it. Roger Ebert famously called it a film without a reason to existing. The duck effects looked fake, the jokes fell flatter than a pancake, and the duck-human romance? Uncomfortable is an understatement. It bombed spectacularly, earning just $16 million domestically against its massive budget. But here's the kicker. Howard the Duck has found new life as a cult curiosity. Its sheer weirdness and ambitious practical effects actually make it fascinating viewing today. Who knew? The power of weirdness.
Next up, at number 14, prepare yourself for Ishtar from 1987. When 2 of Hollywood's biggest stars, Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman, team up with a legendary director like Elaine May, success should be a given, right? Wrong. Instead, Ishtar became shorthand for Hollywood excess gone horribly, hilariously wrong. Beatty and Hoffman played terrible lounge singers who somehow stumble into Middle Eastern intrigue. May, a known perfectionist, shot take after take in the blazing Moroccan heat. The budget? It ballooned from $27 million to $55 million as the crew battled sandstorms, political unrest, and May's obsessive retakes. Beatty, who also produced, watched his investment just disappear into the desert sand. Columbia Pictures was bleeding money, begging May to wrap it up, but she just kept shooting. Meanwhile, the press had an absolute field day reporting every disaster. By the time Ishtar limped into theaters, it was already a punchline. Critics called it self-indulgent and boring. Audiences? They stayed away in droves. The film earned a paltry $14 million worldwide, making it one of the decade's biggest bombs. Careers were damaged, May didn't direct again for years, and the film became a cautionary tale about unchecked creative control. Yet, some defenders argue Ishtar isn't actually terrible, just expensive. Its political satire has moments of brilliance, and the leads actually have genuine chemistry. But in 1987, all anyone saw was a $55 million joke that wasn't funny. Ouch.
At number 13, let's talk about The Adventures of Buckaroo Bonsai Across the Eighth Dimension from 1984. Imagine someone tried to cram every sci-fi concept imaginable into one movie, then forgot to explain any of it. That, my friends, is Buckaroo Bonsai, a film so weird, so dense, and so utterly unique that audiences have no idea what hit them.
Peter Weller plays the title character, a neurosurgeon, physicist, and rock star who battles interdimensional aliens with his team of scientist-musicians. Director W.D. Richer created a universe so complex it practically required a glossary. The film references events that never happened, introduces characters without explanation, and just assumes you're already familiar with Buckaroo's world. It was deliberately confusing, proudly obtuse, and absolutely uncompromising in its vision. Sherwood Productions bet big on launching a franchise with planned sequels and merchandise. Instead, they got a $6 million budget film that earned barely $6 million worldwide. Critics praised its originality but admitted audiences would be completely lost. The marketing campaign had no idea how to sell such an unconventional story. It vanished quickly from theaters, leaving confused viewers and disappointed executives. Plans for Buckaroo Bonsai against a World Crime League were scrapped immediately. But Buckaroo Bonsai refused to die. Home video revealed its cult following. Viewers appreciated its dense mythology and deadpan humor. It influenced countless filmmakers and spawned devoted fan communities. Today, it's recognized as a brilliant oddity that was simply too cool for school. Sometimes being too cool for school just doesn't pay the bills.
Coming in at number 12, it's Megga Force from 1982. In the early 80s, military action was hot. Top Gun was still years away, but producers could smell the trend coming. Enter Megga Force, a film about an elite international peacekeeping force with the best vehicles, weapons, and motorcycles that fly? Yes, really. Barry Bostwick reads this team of high-tech soldiers as they battle a generic villain in a fictional country. The film promised cutting-edge action and delivered laughably cheap special effects. The flying motorcycles looked like toys dangling from strings. The futuristic weapons were obviously modified existing guns. Even the costumes seemed borrowed from a low-budget TV show. Director Hal Needham, fresh off Smokey and the Bandit success, had zero experience with sci-fi action. The result felt like a children's toy commercial stretched to feature length. 20th Century Fox had hoped for a franchise, but got a $20 million embarrassment that earned just $5 million worldwide. Critics were merciless. The acting was wooden, the plot nonsensical, and the effects embarrassing even by 1982 standards. Audiences actually laughed at moments meant to be serious. The film vanished from theaters in weeks. Yet, Megga Force has developed a devoted following among fans of so bad it's good cinema. Sometimes you just gotta appreciate the effort, even if the result is that.
Slipping into our top 10 is Legend from 1985. Ridley Scott, the visionary behind Alien and Blade Runner, followed them up with something completely different, a fairy tale fantasy that looked like a dream and played like a nightmare for Universal Studios. Legend starred Tom Cruise as a forest dweller who must save a princess and stop the Lord of Darkness from bringing eternal winter to the world. The production was ambitious beyond belief. Scott built massive sets, created elaborate practical effects, and hired Rob Bottin to design creatures that would make audiences believe in magic. Tim Curry's Demon Lord of Darkness required hours of makeup daily, transforming him into a genuinely terrifying villain. Then, disaster struck, literally. A fire destroyed the main set at Pinewood Studios, forcing expensive rebuilds and delays. The budget climbed from $20 million to $25 million as Scott pursued his perfectionist vision. Meanwhile, executives worried the film was too dark and strange for mainstream audiences. Their fears proved justified. Legend earned just $15 million domestically, though international sales helped recoup costs. Critics praised the visuals but found the story thin. Scott himself admitted the theatrical cut felt rushed and incomplete. But Legend's reputation has grown tremendously. Scott's director's cut, released years later, revealed a richer, more complex film. The visuals remain stunning. Few fantasy films have matched its dreamlike beauty. Tangerine Dream's synth score perfectly complements the otherworldly atmosphere. Sometimes true beauty just needs a little time to be appreciated.
At number 9, we tackle The Razor's Edge from 1984. Bill Murray, Mr. Comedy himself, wanted to prove he was more than just a funny guy, so he chose to remake W. Somerset Maugham's philosophical novel about a man's spiritual journey after World War I. The result? A career misstep that left audiences and critics equally baffled. Murray plays Larry Darrell, a wealthy American who abandons his privileged life to seek meaning in post-war Europe and India. It's a deeply serious role, requiring dramatic weight Murray had never shown before. Director John Byram supported Murray's transformation, but the results were mixed at best. The production faced immediate skepticism. Murray's fans expected comedy, while drama enthusiasts questioned his casting. Columbia Pictures had little faith in the project, giving it minimal marketing support. The film felt caught between audiences, satisfying neither. Critics were harsh but not dismissive. Many acknowledged Murray's sincere attempt at serious acting while noting his limitations. The film's philosophical themes felt heavy-handed, and Murray's performance, while committed, lacked the gravitas the role demanded. The Razor's Edge earned just $6 million against a $12 million budget, effectively ending Murray's dramatic ambitions for years. It became a cautionary tale about comedic actors reaching beyond their range. However, the film deserves reconsideration. Murray's performance, while imperfect, shows genuine commitment to growth. The philosophical themes, though heavy, reflect real spiritual searching. Some critics have reevaluated it as an interesting failure rather than a simple disaster. Maybe Bill was just ahead of his time in being a serious actor.
Number 8 brings us to young Sherlock Holmes from 1985. Steven Spielberg produced this origin story, imagining how Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson met as boarding school students. Directed by Barry Levinson, the film promised to launch a new franchise, combining Spielberg's youth adventure formula with Arthur Conan Doyle's detective genius. The concept seemed foolproof: young heroes, mysterious villains, and cutting-edge special effects, including the very first fully CGI character in film history. Nicholas Rowe and Alan Cox played Holmes and Watson with genuine chemistry, supported by elaborate Victorian sets and John Williams's sweeping score. Industrial light and magic created spectacular effects, including a stained glass knight that comes to life and a temple sacrifice sequence that pushed PG-13 boundaries. The film looked expensive and felt ambitious, clearly designed as a tentpole release. But audiences weren't interested. Young Sherlock Holmes earned just $19 million against an $18 million budget. Technically profitable, but far below expectations. Critics praised the production values while noting the convoluted plot and dark tone seemed inappropriate for young audiences. The film's failure killed franchise plans immediately. Paramount had envisioned multiple sequels exploring Holmes' youth, but poor box office ended those dreams. The movie quickly disappeared from theaters and public consciousness. Yet, young Sherlock Holmes has found appreciation among fans who discovered it on home video. The effects hold up remarkably well, and the performances capture the spirit of Doyle's characters. It's an ambitious film that simply arrived at the wrong time. Poor Holmes never quite got his big start.
Landing at number 7, we have Dune from 1984. David Lynch directing Frank Herbert's unfilmable sci-fi epic? What could go wrong? Everything as it turned out. Dune became one of the decade's most notorious failures, a $40 million disaster that satisfied neither Lynch's artistic vision nor Universal's commercial expectations. The production was troubled from conception. Lynch, coming off the Elephant Man success, was given enormous creative control over Herbert's complex novel. The result was a dense, nearly incomprehensible film that assumed viewers had read the source material. Lynch's cut ran over 3 hours, forcing Universal to demand severe editing. The theatrical version felt choppy and confused, with essential plot points cut and character development sacrificed. Lynch disowned the film, refusing to participate in promotional interviews. The all-star cast, including Kyle MacLachlan, Sting, and Patrick Stewart, seemed lost in Lynch's bizarre interpretation. The production design was stunning but overwhelming. Every frame was packed with detail that distracted from storytelling. Critics were savage. Roger Ebert called it a real mess, an incomprehensible, ugly, unstructured, pointless excursion into the murkier realms of one of the most confusing screenplays of all time. Audiences stayed away, earning just $30 million domestically. However, Dune has undergone significant reevaluation. Lynch's uncompromising vision, while flawed, created genuinely unique cinema. The production design influenced countless sci-fi films, and extended cuts revealed more of Lynch's original intentions. Sometimes, even a mess can be a masterpiece. Eventually.